Oh, hey, what's going on out there on SpeedGaming 4? My name is TheSchwantz27, and it's a Worlds Collide Wednesday, the Final Fantasy VI Randomizer. We are doing a showcase of our brand new event that was just announced this week, the Kefka Grand Prix Deluxe. So what this is a brand new event. It's starting July 21st, and registration is currently open. So if you'd like to join, make sure you hit up our Discord. It's ff6worldscollide.com, and there is a link to the Discord there. And you can join this new event. What we are going to be doing is we are going to be doing one of the different flag sets. It's called the Figaro Desert Passage. And the different options for us tonight include starting with Locke and Edgar. So we know two of the three characters that we'll start with. We have to get 7 characters and 10 espers in order to unlock Final Kefka. And that's the goal of the randomizer, is to unlock and defeat Kefka. We do get the ability to skip to where the statues are if we defeat 12 bosses and we complete the Ancient Castle check. And we'll talk more about the checks and things like that as we go along here. The chests are shuffled plus 40% random, which is higher than usual. So we're going to probably get more goodies in chests than normal. However, 5% of all chests are going to be monsters in a box. So you have to be careful when doing your looting phase. Make sure you equip your party, because otherwise you might be in for a rude surprise there. We do not have experience eggs or illuminas in shops, but we do start out with 50,000 GP. So we can make good usage of our shops with a lot of money. And if we want to uncurse the shield, the number of battles will be between 7 and 13. And with instant access to Locke, we can go get that right away. So we are going to get started here in just a minute. And what the Kefka Grand Prix is a event where there are 4 different tracks or flag sets that runners can compete in. And this is one of the 4 here that we're showcasing off tonight. We also have the ability to choose a different cart, if you will, similar to the different cart classes in Mario Kart, where certain cart classes will give you more points the higher you finish, but the certain cart classes will only give out points for a certain number of spots. So for instance, the Chocobo cart class will give you at least 1 point for finishing the race and give the first place winner 10 points, and it subtracts 1 point for every place after that, with 10 or higher getting 1 point. With the Blackjack cart, you only get points if you finish within the top 8. With the Falcon class, you only get points finishing within the top 6. However, first place gets 15 and 20 points respectively. So it's a little bit of risk reward. Scared money don't make money, as they say. Also, there is an interesting twist to sort of lean into the Mario Kart or Diddy Kong Racing or Twisted Metal type theme, where you can actually cast spells on other people in the race to either make yourself gain placement or make others lose placement by adding time to their finish or subtracting time from your finish. So that'll be really interesting to see as the event goes on, and it sort of adds some chaos, which, you know, we love chaos here. That's what a randomizer is all about. So I'm going to give the go-ahead to our runners here. What's going on, Turdsman in the house as well? So yeah, so we're kicking it old school. We have to get 7 characters and 10 espers, which the first Kefka Grand Prix event, there's been 2 of them previous to this one, and both of them were before my time in the Worlds Collide community. So it'll be interesting to see what this event has in store for our runners. Most of the flag sets have the old school 7 character 10 esper unlock, which is how it used to be when I first joined the Worlds Collide community. Yeah, so in this particular race, we also have multi-summon of Espers turned on, and our enemies are going to be scaled based on characters plus Espers plus dragons times 2.5, with a maximum scaling level at 45. So our bosses are going to be a little tougher than they normally are. And it looks like we might be off and going here, and we have Sabin to accompany his Figabro with Edgar and Locke. We have lore for Sabin, slot for Edgar, and tools for Locke. So in Worlds Collide, the commands that each of your characters has is randomized. The stats are randomized within a certain percentage of their vanilla. The equipable item pool is also randomized, but you could equip everything you could in vanilla. There's just a random 33% chance that you could equip something that you couldn't equip. And right away, F. Coughlin, heading over to the Narsh Weapon Shop. This is one of Locke's checks, and he gets a choice between a Dragon Horn or Make It Red Cap, and he's going to choose the Jumpy Relic instead of the Mario Hat. Not even going to bother going to check the Curse Shield there, with 7 as the minimum number of battles and the maximum number of battles being 13. So hopefully we'll get some Dragoon Boots to go along with that Dragon Horn.
Or they could possibly find a natural jumper to go with it.
Yeah, that would be even better. And welcome, Caller McBran. Is that pronunciation? Did I butcher it? I butchered it, didn't I?
A little bit. I normally pronounce it Kalar.
Good, excellent. So I wasn't mispronouncing it the last time. What's going on, Kalar, joining me in the booth as my co-commentator today. What do you think with this Figaro Desert flag set? We've got a 7 to 13 battle curse shield. Is that too rich for your blood, or would you still go do it, even though it's not going to teach us the Ultima spell?
I think the combination of no Ultima spell plus a minimum of 7 makes it a little dicey to bother with it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let's see. Do we actually learn? Oh, we can learn Ultima in this flag set. Based on what I'm seeing here. So, again, I wish I had studied my homework more before. Yes, so we do get Ultima at 254 MP. So I stand corrected there. So we do have access to Ultima if we want to by uncursing that shield, and we get it right away. So let me revise the question then with that bit of information. 7 to 10, is that still going to be too rich, or would you just go check it to see what it is anyway?
With the ability to get Ultima, I think I would get it just to see. If it's 7 and I can find a peace ring or a ribbon early, I might go for it. Otherwise, I might just let it sit in inventory.
Yeah, you could always sell it for some cash, although we do have 50,000 starting GP. So we are going to be throwing out money like rice at a wedding in this seed here. Some ice rods for sale. Drinks Glue finds them in World of Balance South Figaro there. So in Worlds Collide, we've quadrupled the price of rods because they are such a powerful item. Being able to cast a maximum damage, unblockable tier 2 version of a spell. And that is Go-Go there, heir to the Figaro throne for Jesus the Frog. So, Kalar, talk about the different world events or checks we have open with these now 4 characters that we have and what that means for our runners here.
Well, as we know, we use a character gating system, so the checks that are available are inherently based on where we would find them in vanilla game. So we originally find Edgar on his throne, so that's where he found Go-Go. Then there's the reactivate the castle in the World of Ruin when you get him a second time, and that opens access to the Ancient Cave, so those would be his 3. Go-Go gives access to where you find him, and Locke the same.
Yep, so both Phoenix Cave and World of Balance South Figaro Cave with the tunnel armor spot are the other couple of areas for Locke. Sabin has 5 checks, including a favorite for early on in Seeds with Imperial Camp, so that's just 4 grind fights, no bosses. We have Barren Falls, where we could be 10s like with TLC and go chase them. We have the Phantom Train, which we can see what the reward is in the caboose before we go through it. We have Mount Colts, where we can do battle with the boss. And then we have the Collapsing House, which doesn't require us to fight any monsters, although they might show up in the boxes that we check while we're in the Collapsing House. And Jesus the Frog forgot his Moogle Charm at home and runs into a pretty difficult battle early on here, Kalar.
Yes, that's not one I'd want to be running into when I'm level 3.
So we do give our runners 3 Moogle Charms so they can decide to not take random encounters, or they could take off the Moogle Charm if they want to do grind fights. And that is why you don't want to see this particular fight. That blaster is not going to be any fun. We do have access to slots, plus Go-Go can mimic any ability, so we might be able to get out of this one, but that Sky Base basically counters anything with Blaster, and unfortunately, that is a wipe for Jesus the Frog. And I was going to make a resurrection joke here, but I think I'll save it for another time.
Well, Coughlin wound up with his own problems finding a Prometheus in a treasure box.
Yick. So that is part of that 5% monster in a box setting that we do have. So any chest has a 5% chance of running into a forced encounter. Now, there are 2 known monster in a boxes here in the Collapsing House, and Mr. Coughlin running into one here with Gigantos, and hopefully he could one-shot this with this chainsaw and to net him a huge amount of XP. That would be really nice. Unfortunately, not the instant death proc there for that one. Meanwhile, I think Drinks Glue picked up a set of fixed dice on his looting route at some point, so we'll see if any of his characters can use that. And he also picked up Go-Go, I'm assuming, coming out of the Figaro Castle here. Jesus the Frog is in Imperial Camp now with that monster in a box, and it looks like he's picked up a sniper, which is one of Locke's better weapons, so that's nice to see on him. If you were one of the runners, what would your routing sort of look like at this moment?
After initial looting and shopping, yeah, Imperial Camp is normally one of the first ones to go. But like a couple of them did with Locke and early Locke, I'm going to World of Ruin, Narsh almost right off the bat.
All right,
and then naturally after Imperial Camp, Sabin has 3 of his checks on the same area. Just go through the line.
Yeah, so it looks like either Sabin or Edgar can use that fixed dice. I saw it in Fred's menu there. As Gigantos is down, that is going to be a huge XP boon for his team. That enemy right there is the largest amount of XP per level in the game, and he is immediately at level 12 after one grind fight. You love to see it happen there.
Yeah, I was hoping he'd pull it through. Gigantos can be rough that quickly, but man, the rewards are nice.
Yeah, we'll use at least a opening throat jab times 3, and we'll counterattack everything with throat jabs. So usually not a fun one to mess around with here. Drinks Glue still looting. You can loot the World of Ruin South Figaro, the outside bits, as well as the World of Balance South Figaro. So the way that Worlds Collide works is if the treasure can be upgraded in the World of Ruin, you can go ahead and re-loot that in the World of Ruin portion of that world. So that applies to South Figaro or the Moogle mines back in Narsh as well. And we got an imp holding up the house, so that is a NPC sprite. So that means this is either an Esper or an item here at Collapsing House. I didn't quite see what the reward is at Imperial Camp. We'll see it in just a second here. It is a merchant against the soldiers, so this is also not a character here.
And Esper reward from Collapsing House.
Yeah, so that's Tirado for F. Coughlin there, and getting a $30,000 gem box. It's probably going to be about the same to sell it, so that is a net, neutral there on the Zen Thief item. So as far as slots go, I am a big proponent of slots early on. A lot of good AoE magic attack, and what I usually do is I just, jam the A button pretty quickly Not obviously as fast as I possibly can, because that'll jam up the slots real good, but if you can consistently press it, in a cadence or rhythm, most of the time you'll get either Chocobop or 7 Flush, and every once in a while you'll get H-Bomb if the RNG aligns properly. If you left your moon crystals out at night, if you will. That's where you can get it.
I actually ran one seed where I got the triple bar 2 times.
Ugh. That could either be really good or just okay. Because a lot of the
Esper is not the best thing.
Yeah, a lot of the Esper summons are very underwhelming, and if it's a Crusader, then you better hope that you saved recently. I think that was a Dragonhorn in Imperial Camp, and I didn't quite see Drinks Glue picked up the Curse Shield, how many battles it was, but he does have a Peace Ring, so he will be able to uncurse that shield without the nasty effects of his character being berserked.
Berserked or muddled?
A combination of the two.
Yep, either one, they're not good.
All right, so it's actually cheaper in World of Ruin than to Zen Thief. It was 44,000 there for Jesus the Frog, so you did get a discount on that gem box. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to see much use of it in Worlds Collide. You tend to want to kill things very fast. This is a speed run after all, right? So gem box is very slow because it casts 2 spells and the animation cast time just is very, very slow.
Yeah, and unfortunately, there's also allowed to retaliate in between those casts.
Drinks Glue making use of that rod that he picked up in the shop there, using Go-Go to mimic the rod. So Go-Go will mimic item usage, even if you don't have that item in your inventory, and it doesn't take up the item out of your inventory. Ooh, Fire 3 on that Esper for F. Coughlin there. So that's really nice to see, to teach to some of his team. All right, so it looks like he's gearing up to go do the Ancient Castle loop, that Edgar loop that you talked about earlier, Kalar. Would you be trying to go after this check knowing that it's part of your skip requirements?
Yes, especially with starting with Edgar, then that increases the likelihood of being able to get skip early and not cause any undue extra time. I mean, it's a slow check either way, but if I can do it early, it's a lot better than getting Edgar later and then trying to do it.
Yeah, I absolutely despise doing the doing Edgar's checks, but this flag set will force me to love it. I think he ended up going to the World of Balance, South Figaro Cave here. That is the tunnel armor spot where Locke's check is. And I think we had a water ability with one of our lures with Aqua Rake, I think. So Sabin can use that against this Mechanical Guardian here in order to do some extra damage. But this is going to be a tough fight for him here.
Yeah, level 12, and that's not the location and the wrong robot.
Jesus the Frog making their way through the collapsing house, so we'll see if they are able to defeat the Gigantos and get that huge amount of XP. Meanwhile, Drinks Glue is doing his leveling the good old-fashioned way here in Imperial Camp. Going to check the monster in a box here, and unfortunately that is a nope from Fred out of the World of Balance South Figaro Cave, and we'll see if he goes to the World of Ruin, which I think is where he landed the first time, which is why I got confused.
Yeah, I can't really blame him. I mean, that Guardian is just a pile of hit points this early.
If we were to get through that fight, it would be really nice, because it is a lot of XP. He also will allow us to learn a lot of spells, there's a lot of MP, so he'll be able to get that Fire 3 online, but you have to end up winning the fight first, and that's usually the hard part there. Alright, usage of Muddle, I think, for Drinks Glue on this Landworm. Landworm has some pretty nasty spells.
Yeah, I didn't notice, but he might have actually picked up a noise blaster.
Oh, yes. You're absolutely right. That's exactly what it is. And it looks like we've got a Boots Horn Fixed Ice combination there for Drinks Glue. So that's a really, really effective way to use Fixed Ice without having to watch a long animation.
Yeah, that's good, strong offense all the way up until the end. Once you get to the end, I'd rather have an R lance, but for right now, oh yeah, that'll carry him.
And we've got a fifth character here with Strago leading the thieves to go check out whatever is in the Figaro Castle that's buried in the sand. And Jesus the Frog was able to go ahead and nab that Gigantos, plus take out the Prometheus that I think F. Coughlin ran from. So he'll have a little bit more levels here after doing that.
Yeah, he wiped out the Gigantos with one H-bomb from slot, so I think he was a little more prepared for Prometheus.
All right, so we'll see what the boss is down here at the Tentacles spot. Drinks Glue is going to go ahead and get their Dragon Horn. Oh, monster in a box, rearing its ugly head here down in the ancient castle. So if you ever want to play a seed or play a set of settings to prevent you from overlooting, throw on the monster in a box percent, because it'll slap your hand every once in a while and say, hey, you, stop looting.
The only problem is, in my experience, once that flag is set, is it front loads all the monster in the boxes when I really need to be looting.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those things where as you get further and further on into a seed, you will loot less and less and less. So that's sort of a standard behavior there. All right, so let's see what this boss is now. And Jesus the Frog looks like they are going to head over to check some more monster in a boxes here, it looks like. Really looking for that offering for that Fixed Ice.
It pairs well with a sniper, too.
Oh, absolutely. All right, so Ultros 4 is the boss here. So we've got an octopus on some tentacles. I don't know. Can we show this on stream? Is this allowed? I thought this was a PG-13 stream here.
Well, it can't be too much. You got Locke wearing Jason's mask from Friday the 13th half the time.
All right, so it looks like Jesus the Frog didn't go to the weapon shop and check the curse shield yet, so they're going to go ahead and do that. Get the bad news that it's yet another dragon horn. So he already has one. Decided to get the Mario hat instead.
Yeah, you really don't want more than one jumper.
I mean, in this seed, right, we have Fixed Ice, and we have Edgar, who can naturally equip all of the best spears. So if I run into, like you mentioned, an Aura Lance or a Pearl Lance, I might want to turn around and grab another Dragon Horn so I can have two jumpers, one with the Fixed Ice and one with the spear. Fred not even checking what Strago had, or if he did, it was way too fast for me, and deciding to keep Gogo in the party. Meanwhile, Jesus the Frog is going to give us our Zone Eater check, and speaking of checks, let's talk about Strago checks. He opens up 3 different areas of the game, and most of them are sort of frowned upon by our runners. We have the Fanatics Tower, we have Ebbett's Rock, and we have the Burning House. So I don't anticipate our runners doing those checks immediately here.
Best case scenario, I see somebody might peek Fanatics Tower, but I don't see Burning House getting done anytime soon.
Okay, I don't think Glue checked the caboose, because I don't see it on his tracker here. So I have no idea what this reward is. So you can check the reward in the caboose before going through this check, and you can reset out if you do not want it. Maybe it was a character, and maybe you said, hey, I'll pick it up later. I don't know. I wasn't sure. Chat, did you happen to see, Kalar, if we peeked?
No, unfortunately, I actually missed that. I glanced away, and then I saw him fighting an Allosaurus, the same as you.
All right, well, this will be a surprise to all of us then, as Jesus, the frog is at the end of Zone Eater here, getting himself an Esper. And F. Coughlin continuing to check monster in boxes. So a bit of a metagame strategy here, Kalar. Question: when you have a sniper or a fixed dice, do you tend to gravitate more towards those checks that have monster in a boxes, or is that something you're not really thinking about?
Once again, if it's early enough in the seed, if I'm only 1 or 2 checks away from getting unlocking KT, I'm probably not going to worry about trying to chase it down at that point unless I'm really hurting for offense.
All right, Drinks Glue was trying to check the actual monster in a box and got a different monster in a box here on the Phantom Train. So question from the chat: do you get the reward for the Phantom Train without checking? You actually do, and one of the reasons you might want to not pick up the reward in the caboose is to not increase scaling while you're doing this check. So if that was a character or an Esper, we would add to the scaling of all the enemies inside the Phantom Train, including the boss. And that's one reason why you would not want to do that. And then you just get the reward after you defeat the boss. Meanwhile, Fred down in the Ancient Castle here against a vanilla blue Durgan. Unfortunately, only a Genji armor as the reward here. So we're going to have to continue to dig in a little bit more to find our Espers and characters. Not a fun dragon to fight here. There's not a lot of water resistance in Final Fantasy VI, and the Blue Durgan has a lot of AoE spells, so really hard to keep all of your party members alive here, especially with this move that is both a water and poison spell. So it not only is water damage, but it also gives you poison sort of tick damage over time, and that's a reset there.
But I have to ask, just because of it, is it even randomized, Blue Dragon being in his vanilla location?
Yeah, so the dragons are supposed to be shuffled amongst themselves, as the bosses are shuffled amongst themselves. But today, I guess the seed decided that we're going to keep this Blue Durgan here. Meanwhile, it's the 3 Dream Stooges at the end of the Phantom Train.
And Glue's not doing too bad. He's already taken out the primary one.
Yeah, that Edgar using the boots and horn with that fixed dice and that juicy sniper proc there also helps go a long way too. So the sniper will actually do 3 times damage, or there's a chance to do 3 times damage on floating targets, of which a lot of the bosses in Final Fantasy VI are considered floating, including almost all of the final boss except for the first tier. So really good to have a sniper, because you can potentially get a lot more damage than the 180 or so battle power on the stats menu tells you.
And he picked up Siren in the Phantom Train, which is a really good pickup for Final Tower.
Yeah, because hilariously, there is a part of the final Kefka fight called Magic that only uses magic spells. How creative, Square. I think they were just, at that point, trying to rush the game through and said, we have to name all these characters. Let's just name it whatever. Who cares? But anyway, so Magic, hilariously, can only cast Magic, but is susceptible to mute, which negates Magic altogether. So that's sort of the fun weakness there. And it's going to be another reset for Fred. Now, you don't have to kill the dragon in order to do this check. The check is actually the queen statue, right, in the Odin Raiden sort of scenario. So once you pick up that Genji armor, you can just get the heck out of here if you really want to. But it looks like he wants that dragon So talk for a second about what the dragons do in Worlds Collide here.
They count as a check towards progression, assuming that the requirements for checks is there. They also sit there and provide a ton of experience and a ton of NP.
Yeah, they unfortunately do not count as bosses for the purposes of Kefka Tower skip in these flags. But if you were, say, running, like a standard racing Ultra Sleek flag set, they do count as checks towards the skip there. And that's another Fire 3 plus an Osmos on that Starlet that Glue found at the bottom of Barren Falls. So he has his second piece of Magicide online.
He got Torado from there. He got Siren from Phantom Train. And that one should be his third, right?
He did not get he didn't go to the South Figaro Cave yet.
Torado came from Imperial Camp.
Oh, you're right. So he has Imperial Camp and Barren Falls, and why is this tracker off? No, Imperial Camp was the Dragon Horn. Where did we get Torado from? Now I'm confused.
Yep. No, that was my mistake. Because nobody cleared South Figaro Cave. That was Guardian.
Yep. So that's the fight we're seeing right here. Where the heck was... was it on the throne, maybe? Did Glue not go to the throne yet? No, he went to the throne. Oh, he didn't do Collapsing House yet.
Yeah, Collapsing House. That's the one it was. That was my mistake.
No, that's okay. I'm usually I remember these things, but clearly I've been flustered. It's the job of the tracker is to know what the heck's going on, which is why the trackers are the real MVPs in our broadcast.
Which means that you're the real MVP here, since you're doing triple duty tonight.
Sure, let's go with that. Alright, so we do get past Guardian, so we'll see what the reward is here that our other two runners were not able to get, and oh, look at who it is. It's a Sketch Rage Gao. Unfortunately going to stay on the bench there for Drinks Glue.
I'd like to see if he has Stray Cat. Stray Cat plus Sniper, and if you can find an offering. Oof.
Yeah, that is very juicy. So we do start with 25 to 35 lures, and unlike in the vanilla game, any random encounter that you would have fought will automatically be added to your rage list with Gao. So you don't have to go to the Velt and do the leap shenanigans. You get it automatically. And with some extra levels and a little help from that Super Ball that he looted, Fred is through that dragon finally here. And getting some marble shoes for his troubles. Yick, throw those back.
But I think he wanted the experience and the MP from it more than he wanted the marble shoes.
Yeah, absolutely. You're hoping for, something better for your party to do, because we've got the fixed dice and we have the sniper, but we don't have things for two of our four party members to really do. I guess you could say Fire 3 is something for your characters to do, but this party here doesn't really have a lot of magic power most of the time, so you're looking for something physical for these users here.
Yeah, absolutely. A Ragnarok or an Illuma would have been the absolute best you could hope for, but...
So Drinks Glue is heading into one of Gao's checks here, the Serpent Trench. Gao's other check is the Velt, where you need to feed the potential reward some dried meat. And he didn't even bother doing the Velt first, he's just hopping through the Serpent Trench here. I find usually... Oh no, go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't think you wanted to take the time of having to rearrange his party to open up a slot for it.
Yeah, that certainly is true. I usually, if I'm able to, I will bring my party down to 3 as soon as I get the reward, right? So the time to do it would have been right after the South Figaro Cave check. The other thing is you need to have dried meat in order to feed to the reward. And I don't know about you, Kalar, but if I don't find it in my initial looting route, I have a heck of a time trying to find it when I'm actually need it immediately for doing the Velt check. So I find it usually wastes much more time than it's worth if I don't have dried meat already in my inventory.
If I have Gao in my opening party, I might go to a couple of additional shops to try and find it. If I don't, then if I find it, I buy it. If I don't, he'll probably never get it.
Alright, so it looks like Drinks Glue has uncursed that shield, so he's going to start learning Ultima at a 1x rate here for his party. And Jesus the Frog barely holding on. 9 HP in a dream. Edgar cracking that ice rod to take out that Durgan there. I bet he will be happy with his pair of kicks that he gets from this dragon.
I would take that bet on the other side of it.
Yeah, and unfortunately in Worlds Collide, if your party members are dead, they don't get the XP, GP, and MP that you get from the dragon fight, so that's a bit unfortunate. Drinks Glue finding an Esper washing up along the shore there. So we'll see where he decides to go next. And there goes Ultros and Barren Falls. I think that's kind of an appropriate place for that boss, huh?
Yeah, he's only slightly flying.
Alright, so this is an Esper down here at the bottom of Barren Falls. And it looks like we are cranking our party down to 3 for Drinks Glue, so this will be the Velt check here. So we saw that Go-Go was an Esper, and so far we only have another Esper from Serpent Trench. And if this is not a character here at the Velt, then that means that our next character has to be somewhere in the checks from our original 3. So in Worlds Collide, there is a logic that allows you to complete a seed 100%, get all of the characters and all of the Espers every single time. So what that means is there has to be a way through the seed to get to 7 characters, and the runners can use that information to determine where they want to go next.
Across the 3 runners, I think we're looking at Phoenix Cave.
Yeah, I think we have Phoenix Cave we haven't seen. We have Mount Colts that we haven't seen. And
Stragos. All of Stragos checks.
Oh, yeah. I blocked that out of my mind on purpose. But
I
yes,
was too,
you're
and then
absolutely
I
right.
suddenly remembered.
And then there's also Kefket Norsh, which is actually not character gated. So there's still a bunch of options here, and we don't know what this Velt check is going to yield us.
If I remember correctly, Kefka at Narsh is the only non-character gated check that can have a character.
Yes, that's absolutely correct. And Glue is still on the Velt. The unfortunate thing about the Velt is you don't get XP from any of these fights. So it does take you time, and it won't give you any more levels. You can earn or learn magic, rather, from these enemies. You just won't get any experience. And that is another Esper there for Glue on the Velt. So both Go-Go's path and Gao's path are dead ends. So we're looking at Stragos checks, or those other 3 that we mentioned earlier, Kefket, Norsh, Phoenix Cave, Mount Colts, for our next progression. Or our next character progression, I should say. Alright, Jesus the Frog trying to get his revenge on Guardian here. Cracking a Pearl Rod. Let's see. Glue is now at Collapsing House. So this will be his 5th Esper here. So the Kefka Grand Prix Deluxe is the new and latest event in the Worlds Collide community. If you are interested at all in participating, head on over to our Discord. FF6 Worlds Collide /Discord is how you can get there. And you could sign up and register. Registration is now open through July 21st. And after that, the event has 8 weeks of heat and then 2-week championship tournament at the end. So it's a 10-week total event. Hopefully you will join us if you are interested in learning how to play. We also have a mentor program in our beginners channel. So you can sign up to either get a video reviewed or to do a one-on-one session with a mentor if you'd like. So definitely take advantage of that as well.
There's also the weekly Moogle async that we have going on now for people that want to start off too.
Absolutely. Yeah, so here's Jesus the Frog doing what I was talking about earlier. Is as soon as I see Gao, I immediately just put my party down to 3 from that party select option. So he picks up that Esper right away. And Drinksglue finding the pile of XP in the collapsing house. Alright, so interestingly enough, there is an Esper that teaches Osmose, which will absorb MP from an enemy. And we do have that Curse Shield with Ultima. So that is definitely a way forward through the seed. Yeah, Ultima does cost 254 MP, just because we tweaked it to make it not cost 80, because 80 is way too low for how powerful it is. But with Osmose, you could at least cast it maybe more than once per battle.
Yep, and then it also is still affected by Economizer and Gold Hairpin.
Yeah, so we actually could earn an Economizer with this reward. So this is the standard reward set instead of the stronger reward set. So we'll see if we run across an Economizer at some point. And uh-oh, it's Mo versus Gogo. The battle of the Nuck-Nucks. We'll see who can come out on top there at the Phantom Train.
Yeah, too bad it wasn't the I can't remember, was it Larry? Because he'll run away.
Yeah, that's always hilarious when that happens. And F. Coughlin getting through that there. Nicely done. Because those Stooges like to counterattack upon death, and that could have been really bad.
There's a fight I don't like to see that Jesus is having to deal with.
Yeah, so Fred went back into the Phantom Forest, and the only way you can get out of this is if you go back into the Phantom Train and fight the Phantom Train boss, or you could actually use the Warp Stone or the Warp Spell when you're in the forest to get out. So he's going to fight the Phantom Train boss here, or the Ghost Train boss, rather. Which is probably fine, because remember, we do need to fight 12 bosses as part of the skit. Wanted to get a heal for his party. Got a heal for his party. And Locke still died anyway. Thanks, game.
Oh, Ghost Train and no Blitz command.
But we do crack out the chainsaw for the instant death, which is really, really good heads-up play there from Mr. Coughlin to take out the Ghost Train. So in Worlds Collide, we've removed the undead property from bosses, but some of the undead bosses are still susceptible to instant death attacks. Ghost Train is one of them. And yeah, so if you do the Phantom Train check and you go back into the Phantom Forest and go back on the Phantom Train, you will always fight the Ghost Train boss. So if you're ever looking for an extra unique boss to kill, that is one of the ways that you can do it. Or if, as you kind of alluded to, Kalar, if you have a objective that is suplex the train, that's how you could find the train. Yeah, so is that a worthwhile grinding spot if you have instant death? I don't think so, just because it takes so long to go through the Phantom Forest, then get on train, and then do the cutscene of getting on the train. I don't think it's time-wise very effective. What do you think?
Nah, that's too much time investment. There's much better grind spots, I would think.
All right, so our runners are furiously looking for their next character. As we mentioned, us here, the omniscient viewer, we know that it can be only Mount Cults, Phoenix Cave, Kefkat Narsh, or one of Strago's checks.
And like most of us, they're trying to avoid those checks like the plague.
All right, so interesting fact about the Phantom Train, aside from the fact that this can happen, which is very frustrating without having YNPC remove, is the second ghost on the train is always the shop. And after you defeat the Phantom Train check, the ghost shows up in the Phantom Forest as the shop. So if the shop has something there that you really want, you could always get back to it. However, you have to have Sabin to access the shop. If you go into the Phantom Forest without Sabin, the shop won't actually be there.
That was something I didn't know. I've never actually gone back into the Phantom Forest afterwards to find.
Yeah, so we were doing on our own Twitch channel a Phantom Forest Railway flag set in which you have to do the Phantom Train check for skip. And we did not have access to Sabin, so one of our runners decided, hey, after the race, let's go see if we can actually get back on the train and do it. And you can't at all. The Phantom Forest will just loop endlessly until you go out one of the two exits. Some checks will allow you to do them, but just won't give you the reward. And some checks will just lock you out entirely. And the Phantom Train is one of those that locks you out entirely. Alright, so we haven't found the Katana Soul monster in a box, have we?
I haven't seen it yet. Not on anybody's streams.
Yeah, so I think we've done all of the different monster in a boxes that we have access to. There's 2 in the Collapsing House, 2 in the Ancient Castle, 1 in the Phantom Train, 1 in Imperial Camp, and 1 in the Narsh Classroom. There are a couple of other monster in a boxes, but we need extra characters to get to them. There's 2 in Shadow's checks, 1 in the Floating Continent and 1 in the Veld Cave. There's 1 in Umaro's check at Umaro Cave, and then there's 1 in Daryl's Tomb, which is a Setzer check. So it just might be that we do not have access to the Katana Soul monster in a box this seed. Jesus the Frog, bringing out the chainsaw to the snail. Presenter is susceptible to instant death. So that's a really fun heads-up play that you can do there. Bust out the chainsaw and hope that you get the instant death proc.
Yeah, if I have a recent save, I just prefer to nope out of the fight with Presenter.
Yeah, it's all about how much time it's going to cost you, right? Essentially.
Always. Like you said, we're racing, so time is one of our biggest enemies.
Alright, so Jesus the Frog coming up on their Three Stooges fight here.
The one time you don't want to see chocobos, when everybody's floating.
Yeah, a bit unfortunate. right, so Drinks Glue is heading down to the Ancient Castle to fulfill his KT skip, sort of half of the requirement there. And will decide to take on this vanilla blue Durgan. F. Coughlin just finished up with the Delt check, and we'll see if they hop into the Serpent Trench. And it looks like they will. And Jesus the Frog is finishing up with Phantom Train. So again, viewers at home, we are looking to see which one of our runners decides to head to one of Strago's checks, Mount Cults, Kefkat Narsh, or Phoenix Cave, because that is the only place where our next character can be. Oh, that hurt. So what do you think, Kalar? Where do you think our next, or our 7th character is going to be in this seed?
Well, there is a logic a lot of times where it'll follow characters, so I'm willing to bet it's going to be one of Strago's.
Yeah, that to me makes the most amount of sense as well.
So, if I was them looking at 45 minutes into the race and still needing a character, I think I would be checking Fanatic's Tower, assuming I have the spells to get through it.
Mm-hmm. Well, even if you don't, you could still peek what the reward is at the bottom and then say, okay, I now know I need to learn some spells, and go do what you need to do to learn some spells, and then come back to Fanatics. Ebbett's Rock is probably the less of 3 evils there. Right?
Yeah, with the most recent version where we've sat there and limited the amount of not being able to find the box once you've gotten all the coral, yeah.
Alright, Three Stooges is a bit of a rude fight, similar to Inferno. If all 3 of them are alive after 3 turns, they'll use Delta Hit. So every 3rd turn, one of your party members will get petrified. Same thing with Inferno. After 3 turns, if he's got all 3 of his parts, he will do the same thing. Alright. So we got 1 down. 2 more to go. Alright.
Yeah, that can be a little rough, but once Curly's down, it gets a lot better.
Yeah, there's 3 attacks is kind of obscene. Alright, so let's see if Drinks Glue, or where Drinks Glue decides to go. Looking at his tracker, the only things that he has left are Strago checks, Phoenix Cave, Mount Cult, and Zone Eater. So, we'll see if he decides to go to one of the other ones. Oh, I thought he was going to Phoenix Cave there for a second, but he's not. He's going into Kefka's Tower. This is a very interesting play here. So what I think he's doing, Kalar, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, he knows that he's going to get to skip at some point. So he's going to clear out the middle lane, which is the Inferno and the Guardian and the Poltergeist spot, with his entire team, because it'll make those fights way faster than if he was split up as normal. And then he'll warp out of the tower, and when he comes back in, he just has the side lanes to fight 2-on-2. Unless Gao gets killed here.
Distinct possibility.
Oh no. Run away. There we go.
By the skin of his teeth.
Yeah, so I really like this as a play from Glue, and after playing a couple of these seeds myself, I have noticed that in the middle of the game, some of the boss fights tend to get really long and drawn out. And I think it's due to the nature of the scaling, where you only gain levels for your progression times 2, but the enemies gain levels for progression times 2.5. So at some point, your enemies will be gaining more levels than you are. And usually that's around, the middle of the game for me. And this is a great way to not increase scaling, but to take a bunch of boss fights that you already are going to have to take anyway, save for the Inferno spot, and get that XP to help you catch up with scaling a little bit.
Well, I mean, you have to take the Inferno fight too, so.
Well, not if you get the skip. You can just skip right over it.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, if you're killing it with your whole team, then it's fine. And Jesus the Frog is giving us our first look at Mount Cults, and so is F. Coughlin here. So we're going to get some new information all over the place here after about 49 and a half minutes or so.
Once again, is it even randomized?
So have you played any of the KGP flag sets yet? And do you share, I guess, the same sentiment that I have where it starts to get difficult in the middle?
I haven't run across it too much. I've run one each of everything but Leet so far. And I've run into some rude bosses, but that's more than the scaling.
Okay.
But I'm also doing Archipelago and stuff, so I haven't devoted a whole lot of time to it yet.
Yep, there's always a lot of fun stuff to do in the Worlds Collide community. We do have a both weekly and monthly asynchronous multi-world, I guess, cluster that you can submit multiple games to. So that's usually pretty fun. I know that I like to participate in those because I enjoy playing some of the other randomizer games, but I don't think I'm good enough to speedrun them. So playing them casually or with a fast forward button really helps.
Yep, exactly. I love SMZ3 and I love ALTTBR, but I can't speedrun those.
Alright, so that first boss went down pretty quickly for Glue. I didn't even see what it was. But the answer is not at Mount Cults. The Vanilla Vargas dropping just an Esper. Alright, so the plot thickens here, Kalar. We're down to 5 checks that it can be our character.
Like I said, the logic always seems to work. Once you find a character, if you follow the checks of each character you find, you start finding more characters.
Alright, chat, the real MVP is not the tracker. The chat is the real MVP, pointing out that it was Kefkat Narsh as the boss for Inferno. So that'll be something that Jesus the Frog and F. Coughlin will potentially skip over with their KT skip. And Coughlin's heading into the Coliseum here. Ooh, an Ice Shield, an Aura Lance, a Minerva, some good stuff in here. So with Worlds Collide, we randomize the reward that you can get as well as the enemy that you fight for the reward. So we do have a little menu to show you what you can bet and what you can get. And I think this is not a character at Fanatics Tower, but Jesus the Frog is doing it anyway.
Well, it is guaranteed progression. It'll be an Esper or a character.
Right, so since it was a NPC sprite, this is guaranteed to be an Esper at the bottom. I don't know if I would be doing this, even though it is guaranteed progression. I want to figure out where my 7th character is first, because if that 7th character is, let's say, Celeste or Setzer, who has access to a lot of Esper item-only checks, then I'd much rather do those than do this.
Maybe he's practicing in case he gets a Blitz user for Bum Rush.
There you go. You know, some people have told me that it is really soothing to kind of do the stairs because you just do your thumb in sort of a circular motion to go up and down the stairs. So maybe he just needs to chill for a second there.
He could be doing it and give himself time to think.
Alright, so F. Coughlin into Ebbett's Rock. So this is both new information again. And Chadius in the chat pointing out that Tunnel Armor and Guardian switch spots, actually. So
I was just about to mention that.
So that's interesting. So yet another easy boss down here. And with boss skip, the bosses inside of Kefka's Tower, they do count as bosses. The only thing that doesn't count as bosses are the dragons, or if you run into a non-unique boss. So there, in Worlds Collide, there is a setting where you can randomize the bosses instead of shuffling them, but we don't have that on for this seed.
And we got Magi Master's Apprentice at Poltergeist spot.
Yeah, and we have a really gross fight actually at the top of Fanatics Tower with Rexol. The reason I say that is because Rexol has very high magic defense, although these ice rods will take care of that problem real fast. So having Go-Go in your party for Fanatics Tower is really nice.
Yeah, you gotta love the defense ignoring nature of a cracked rod.
And ice is the weakness of that boss anyway, so it's nice to see.
Goddess in, I can't remember the name of the cave all of a sudden.
Ebbets Rock.
Yep, Ebbets Rock.
Yeah, so the thing about Fanatic's Tower, the famous gimmick, is that you can only use magic in Fanatic's Tower. The exceptions to that are Umaro, who just will smash anything, and Gogo can use the Mimic command. You can also use Item in Fanatic's Tower, hence why Jesus there, smart heads-up play, using the Ice Rod, cracking it, and then, as I mentioned earlier, you can mimic something over and over again and not have it removed from your inventory. Yeah, this is going to be a rough Goddess fight here for Fred. Ugh. Down goes Sabin. So one of the things that Goddess does is Goddess will counterattack with Love Token if you do a physical attack to her. And basically what that means is that now you take physical damage instead of the boss. I believe Glue got grabbed out of the sky on the way to Fanatic's Tower and picked up an Esper. It was an Ultros, I believe. That was the Doomgaze spot. But that's an Esper that I don't think other runners will likely get, because we don't have Setzer to do the Search the Sky automagic option.
And an Odin from Fanatic's Tower.
Alright, that's good. Instant death is always nice to have for the final fight. So our runners are not only trying to make sure they have stuff for whatever is in front of them, but you always fight Kefka at the end of every race, so we have to make sure we can kill him.
And he did come with Quick on him, which is a nice spell to have.
Okay, and after 56 and a half minutes, our runners are all in the same place, same time. Ebbets Rock. They all have 6 characters and 6 Espers. Actually, that's not true. Jesus the Frog has 7. I'm sorry, I forgot to do that. That would have been more poetic, I think.
Yeah, that would have been nice symmetry.
Zombie Edgar with fixed ice. We better unzombie him right away, otherwise bad things are going to happen. Oh, and there's the party wipe.
Yep. Unfortunately, that's almost always a possibility with Goddess, no matter where in the game.
Hefe coming in with a party of 3 raid. Thank you so much, Hefe. Come and enjoy your spot up front. We've reserved you a table right in the heat of the action. In case you're just joining from that raid, we are doing Kefka Grand Prix, the Figaro Desert Passage. What the heck is this called? Did I get it right? I don't think I did.
I always remember it as Figaro.
Yes, I was correct. That's usually not something that happens, so I can celebrate that for a second. And we have come to the conclusion that our 7th character is either at Phoenix Cave, Kefka at Norsh, or in one of Strago's checks. And we did peek Fanatic's Tower, and it was not a character, so it's either Ebbets Rock or Burning House.
Or Phoenix Cave. Fred's actually checking it right now.
Yeah, so we can fight an optional dragon here in Phoenix Cave as well. We'll see if Fred wants to take that or not. Drinks Glue, meanwhile, is our first runner getting past this Goddess here in Ebbets Rock, and if he runs out of the cave, then we have our 7th character. We have our 7th character, folks. And it is the Murder Child Realm. So we'll see if she makes the cut. Morph Natural Magic. Not enough to make it over the party that we currently have. Yeah, one of the things about this flag set is that enemies scale to level 45, and it's characters, espers, dragons times 2.5. So what is this goddess fight? It is...
It's probably pretty close to max level at this point, I think.
Yeah, so let's math on stream, because this always goes well. 14 times 2 is 28, and half of 14 is 7. So 28 plus 7 is 35. So level 35 goddess.
Glue was actually probably on par with that with his levels going.
Yeah, after doing the Kefka Tower shenanigans. I think we'll probably see a lot of that in this event, if we can get Skip, obviously. Big caveat. Alright, here we go. And we have an Ice Dragon in Phoenix Cave. Thankfully, we have Fire 3, so this will not be a problem. So where is Drinks Glue? Is he in Alzur's mansion?
Yes.
Okay. And yeah, that is 2 frozen people on F. Coughlin's side. The only way to unfreeze your party is to cast fire on them, or wait an obscenely long amount of time.
And that's the right adjective for it. I don't think I've ever actually had one of them unfreeze naturally.
I think it's like a minute. It's just, it feels like forever. Because most of the battles in Worlds Collide don't last that long. Alright, so Jesus the Frog does get through that goddess fight with just about 10 seconds to spare before his party turns into Night of the Living Dead.
A rag from the Ice Dragon and Phoenix Cave.
Oh, okay, hello. Unfortunately, Sabin can't use it. Alright, so Realm is coming into the party for Jesus the Frog. And we'll see where he decides to go next. So, Alzur's Mansion, as we mentioned... Oh, there's an offering in a pot. We were searching all seed for it, and it was right there in Thamasa the whole time. That's incredible.
Then they're trying to beat a Katana Soul for one, and you can get one for free.
Oh, Freddy getting the bad news here. It is not a character at the end of the Phoenix Cave. Thankfully, it is an Esper at least. Oh, it's a great Esper as well. Hello. Golem is what we call calmness protection. So we'll see that later on the 3rd tier of Kefka.
We'll probably see it on the 1st tier, 2nd tier, 3rd tier. We got multi-summon.
Great point. Oh, there's a Yeti. Who knew that Sasquatches can paint? So Umaro is at Alzur's Mansion. The other check that Realm opens up is Esper Mountain, which is where Jesus the Frog is going, because we can peek this to see what the reward is here. Little vanilla strats here from Drinks Glue using Aqua Rake against the Flame Eater.
And Fred is climbing the tower now.
Yeah, this might just be out of frustration for losing to Goddess before. So, Mount Cults wasn't the answer, and Phoenix Cave wasn't the answer. We still don't know about Kefka at Narsh, but this might be... Or Burning House, right? We didn't do Burning House either?
Yeah, but we got Realm from Evet's Rock, so...
Yeah. So...
And we know Morrow from Realm's check.
Yeah, so the question is the resident Yeti fan club... one of the committee members going to put Umaro into the final party, or are they going to leave it as is? And...
I think he's leaving it as is.
Alright, so Esper Mountain is not a character. There's a merchant sprite running around. The auction house is peaked, and I didn't quite see if they said shiny stones were still available or not.
I missed it too. I was looking to see what the boss was going to be at Esper Mountain.
It's everybody's favorite jazz band, Hiding in the Hiding Nights.
Yep. Looks like they were, because he went and got money so he could come back.
Oh, hey, look at that. So the auction house usually doesn't give you the Esper on the first try. There's a 25% chance to get the Esper on the first try. There's a 50% chance to get the 50,000 GP item. There's a 12% chance that you get the $10,000 reward, which is either an item or an Esper. And then there's a 6.25% chance to get the lowest costing item or the Imp Robot. And if you buy the $50,000 item, the odds of everything else get bumped up as that gets removed from the pool. Dead check Magus Rod for Jesus the Frog. At least Realm can use the Magus Rod. And got a battle with a Gold Durgan for F. Coughlin.
And he's on the rough side of that battle too. Oh, pulled it out.
Yeah, so he's going to have to get his party back up and decide what to do. Because unfortunately, there are no save points inside of Fanatic's Tower. So your options are heal somehow or go back down the tower and come all the way back after using some sleeping bags. And he is out of Phoenix Downs now.
And I think he did the dragon first.
Yep, so we still have to go fight the boss at the top just to get the reward at the bottom. So out of Phoenix Downs is not a place I'd like to be inside of a check here. Drinksglue, meanwhile, taking his Yeti and running with it up to the Tritok spot. So this is not character gated. However, it can only be an Esper and item here as the reward.
That's a low-flying airplane.
Well, I mean, we're at the top of Narsh, so is it? This is my least favorite boss in the game because he could just end the fight in 1 or 2 turns if he really wants to.
Oh yeah, the shrapnel's just brutal.
If he uses launcher and then shrapnel, or launcher and then wave cannon, or then launcher and atomic ray, it just gets out of hand real fast. But thankfully a bit of a glass cannon, so this should probably do it here. Or I lied. Alright, so Jesus the Frog is going to head up here without Umaro. So we'll only be able to do the Tritok check and has to turn around. Whereas Glue can continue on to the Umaro cave check. Hey.
Yeah, with the limited number of checks, I'm not sure why Frog is looking for just strictly Esper right now.
Well, he's got 7 characters, so he just needs 2 more Espers for go mode. And since this is a check that can reward either an Esper or an item, it sort of cuts off the potential of him getting a character he doesn't need. And this is the White Dragon. I don't think we saw this before.
No, Blue skipped right by it.
And that's going to be a dead realm. Alright, going to take the dragon before doing the Yeti check. We got an Esper summon here with Bismarck. Yeah, the Esper summons are very underwhelming in Worlds Collide. For offensive potency, anyway. I think Bahamut is probably the exception to that, right?
Yeah, he's the only one that bypasses magic defense. So.
And then there's obviously like status or instant death espers that we like, but most of the time it's just not worth doing an esper summon. All right, and we got a big sword out of that, an Illumina. So Jesus the Frog is turning his Edgar into a sword swinging maniac here. Does Jesus the Frog have Umaro? Oh no, he hasn't done Tritalk yet.
No, he went to the dragon first. Glue went and did Tritalk, then came back and did the dragon.
See, this is why we have 2 people in the commentary booth instead of 1. Otherwise, it'd get all sorts of turned around here. Oh, it's another character here at the Umaro spot.
It has to be. We know that there's no other characters, and he only has 1 check.
Well, we didn't do Burning House, and we didn't do Kefka at Norsh. Right? So... it is going to be Terra, and wow. This is what, the 3rd time this has happened this seed?
Yep. Somebody didn't do a good job of stirring up everything.
This is, we're going to call this seed the James Bond. This was stirred, not shaken.
Shaken, not stirred.
Alright, Jesus the Frog getting a 9th Esper here. And we're still fighting Rexall. So, in Worlds Collide, Rexall works differently than in the vanilla game. And that's due to the fact that we aren't necessarily going to have a very big set of characters. And if we find Rexall in Kefka's Tower, and he did his vanilla sort of script of possessing one of your characters, and if he possessed the only good character in that party, then that would be a nearly impossible fight to win. So we decided to remove the Zinger part of the battle script from Rexall and just kill him, as you just saw Fred struggle with for a while there.
That was interesting. Glue decided to put Terra in his party.
Yeah, so he found that Illumina from that dragon. So I'm guessing we're going to use that with Terra. He's got his jumping Edgar, right? And he's got the sniper with Lock, and then I think he's using Go-Go still?
Yep.
I think the Go-Go is for the Ultima. Yeah, so that's what his party composition is going to be doing here. All right, Jesus the Frog heading into Owzer's mansion, so he'll get his Yeti. I wonder if he'll check the auction house on the way out. We did have a discussion about the auction house in our Discord a little bit earlier, and there were definitely people that were like, I hate the auction house, I'm never doing it. I'm pretty sure Jesus the Frog said that he is never doing auction house ever. So we'll see if he goes back on his word here.
I'm kind of that mind half the time. Almost every time I try to do it, I get to 50,000 like 4 or 5 times in a row.
Yeah. The strategy is to buy that item so it comes out of the pool, but then the problem is you increase the chances that you get the Imp Robot after that. So it's a bit of a conundrum there. All right. It looks like we're getting a Burning House play here.
He's about to find his offering.
And boom, there it is. Gotta love the pause and go, oh yeah, I could use this. Alright, Grabby Pasta is the boss for Drink School. I think this is Welk that we're looking at?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Okay, so Terra has 5 different checks, so this is one of them. Leet River, Zozo Tower, Mobliz, and Sealed Gate Cave.
And And then you can also get the second item from Locke's check behind Welk's location.
Yeah, in case we needed that other dragon horn or Mario hat. So that's Glue with 9 espers. Jesus the Frog unfortunately won't be getting his 10th here. We have no idea what's at the end of the burning house, so this will be new information for us here.
Right now for Glue, I'm not sure what you would do, but I would actually be thinking about peeking Funbaba Mobliz.
Yeah, that's a good call, because you will get told from the little girl exactly what the reward is at Mobliz. So this way you know whether or not you need to do it or not. And it looks like that's where he's going. Or not, he hasn't done Esper Mountain yet, so this will give him his 10th Esper here. Or will it? No. Esper Mountain was dead check, wasn't it? I don't remember. I thought it was a dead check. It may or may not be. We'll find out, chat.
Well, Frog is the only one that's done Esper Mountain, and he wound up an Esper ahead of Glue somehow, so that might be it.
He also did Fanatic's Tower. That's where that other Esper might have come from. Alright. Yeti, draw on the painting. Let's see Burning House here. So there are a bunch of encounters in Burning House. You can skip them if you're really good at movement, as we just saw there. But most of the time, you're going to get at least 4 or 5 of them throughout your visit to the Burning House.
I think the best I've ever done is only 2 encounters in the Burning House.
I've gotten, 2 as well one time, but yeah, getting the Burning House complete skip, I've only ever seen one person do it. It's quite ridiculous. Nico Demos pointing out Fanatic's Tower had a Minerva. I think that was the item at the top of the tower, but you also get a reward at the bottom of the tower, and it has to be an Esper or a character. And in this case, it was an Esper.
There was your answer. Frog's doing the auction house.
It is. Hell is freezing over. Are you guys feeling cold?
No, but it's got to get really cold before Central Texas starts feeling cold.
All right, so we are going to buy the 50,000 GP item, so that takes this item out of the pool. It was a Magus Rod at Esper Mountain. All right, so now the Esper has a 50% chance of showing up. The $10,000 reward has a 25% chance of showing up. The other $10,000 item has 12.5%, and same with the Imp Robot. But on the second try, just as the percentages would tell you, Jesus the Frog will be in go mode here once he buys this $20,000 Esper. We're going to have to rib him a little bit about this auction house play. All right, so as you mentioned, Kalar, it looks like Glue is not only checking what the reward is, but is also petting all the dogs here in Mobliz as well, as one is to do. More characters. So we kind of bottlenecked for a while, right, in terms of characters, and now the seed is just like, oh, you need characters? Here, have all of them.
Like I said, they tend to Jay-Z chain.
Okay, so let's look at Jesus the Frog's tracker. He has 10 bosses killed, so he can't do the skip yet. However, what he can do is he can overload one of his parties and fight the Toilet Atma spot and then do the Inferno spot and kill bosses. Or he can overload his middle party, like Drinks Glue did, clear everything out, and then actually earn skip when he gets to the Poltergeist spot.
Yep, but it looks like he's spread them out to just take the tower normally.
And we have a bunch of fish in the burning house. Anybody hungry? Unfortunately, that was an Esper in Burning House. So unless Kefkat Norsh was a character here, Kalar, I think this was a required Ebbets Rock seed.
I think we're more likely to see Ebbets Rock out of Fred than we are him going to Kefka and Narsh at this point, but I could be wrong.
Oh, no, he's going to Zone Eater. I mean, he'll get an Esper, so he at least will get progression here. The thing with Kefka Narsh is you could actually walk up and see what the reward is before you initiate the battle. So if you're down to 2 options, one of the things you can do is just save right outside the other check and then go up to Kefka Narsh, and if you see not a character there, you can just reset out and be right at the doorstep of the check that you know has a character. And Drinks Glue is begrudgingly heading up for that X Tower for that guaranteed Esper because he saw the NPC at the bottom. So this will actually be a lot closer than it is at the moment. Even though Jesus the Frog got go mode first, he is walking through the tower normally, where Drinks Glue not only has skip, I believe he has skip. Yes, he's killed 15 bosses. Not only does he have skip, but he also killed 2 of the 4 bosses in the final gauntlet. So Glue actually might be, I think, ahead, even though he's still looking for his last piece of progression here. It's not usual that you get this sort of situation.
Yeah, I think they'll be pretty close to dead even by the time Glue gets there.
Yeah, Fanatic's Tower, I think, takes like 2 minutes to walk up, 2 minutes to walk down, and then however long you spend fighting whatever is in here.
And with his levels and Ice Rod mimicking it, Rexol didn't stand a chance.
Alright, so decision time for F. Coughlin. Do we go to Kefket Narsh, or do we go back for Goddess? And Goddess has only gotten more difficult since the last time that he was in here, right? Because she's gained some levels.
Kefka. He's going to World of Balance.
Alright. Oh, he didn't do Imperial Camp yet either. Let's take a look at his tracker. Yeah, so he's missing Ebbets Rock, Imperial Camp, and Kefket Narsh. So this will be a reset after he sees this is not a character.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Jesus the Frog getting slowed down by some of those monster in a boxes there. So I usually loot anywhere from like 50 to 60 chests in a given seed. Unless I find something really early on or I find absolutely nothing, then I'll loot more or less. So that means 5% of chests would put me at about 2 or 3 monster in a box encounters per seed. So I think we've seen what, like 4, 5 maybe trap chests?
I think so. Outside of the normal ones that are always monsters in the box.
So getting a little bit unlucky here. I'm looking through some of the chest counts. So Jesus the Frog is at 68, Drinks Glue at 71, and is that a 50? That's a 50. 51 for F. Coughlin. So getting a little bit unlucky with the monster in a box is getting more than the percentage would show you. Alright, as we predicted, that is a reset out of Imperial Camp. We'll see if Fred goes to Kefket Narsh to peek. He's going to check to see what checks he actually has. And here you see the power of the skip. Drinks Glue is right where Jesus the Frog is. But remember, Jesus the Frog still has to kill the Guardian spot and the Poltergeist spot.
Yep, so he's probably a minute and a half ahead of Frog right now, I'd say.
Well, this is going to send him back.
Forgot the Mogul Charm.
Yeah, so Drinks Glue is going to get Moogle Charm tattooed on his arm somewhere, I think, after this race. All right, so back outside the tower. Did we save after Fanatics? We did, thank goodness. Could you imagine not saving and just going right in the tower and losing all of that time and all of that walking? That is obscene.
In an async race, that might almost make me go, all right, I'm done.
All right, Jesus the Frog is prepping his middle party here. So it's been a while since he's been at his last save point. So usually you want to make sure that your middle party can deal with anything that the seed throws at you. Luckily for him, this is just tunnel armor, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And the one at the top at Poltergeist was a fairly simple one too.
Number 24, I believe?
Yep. Mini Magimaster.
We did not see what these side statues are, and there's a ghost at Kefka at Narsh. So that means Ebbett's Rock was the bottleneck for this seed. So our runners had to fight Goddess in order to progress.
I wonder why Fred's taking this fight.
You get the warp back down to the bottom. That's the only reason I could think of it. I would have just reset.
Yeah, I think that would be faster.
And yeah, he just wanted to see Kefka order some chumps around. We took so many of the cutscenes out of Worlds Collide that, you know, sometimes you want to watch one or two of them.
That, and he might have been sitting there cursing in his head about the fact that he bonked off of Goddess earlier.
Well, he also bought some stuff here, too. So he's going to go back, rebuy the stuff, and then go back to Goddess. All right, Narapa here. We do have Odin, but we're not going to use it. So Narapa is susceptible to instant death, but has auto reflect on, so you can't just cast most spells onto Narapa because they are like rubber and glue. Drinks glue, in fact. There's X-Zone, we could use that because that cannot be reflected. Be gone with thee into the next dimension. There it is. Alright, meanwhile, Jesus the Frog is just one boss behind now at this point. So it's anybody's race between Drinks Glue and Jesus the Frog here. Meanwhile, Fred is heading back to Goddess for his go mode. He might not have enough bosses for Skip, though. I'm looking at his tracker. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, he only has 6 boss kills. This will be 7. So he's going to have to do the tower the long way.
Trying to think of how he did all these checks and only has 6 bosses.
Well, so we have Ancient Castle, which doesn't have a boss. We have Phoenix Cave, which doesn't have a boss. We have Zone Eater, which doesn't have a boss. And we have Serpent Trench that doesn't have a boss. So a lot of...
Imperial Camp, no boss.
Right. He didn't do Imperial Camp because it wasn't a character. But yes, that is yet another check without a boss. So that could happen, you know. It just... Unfortunate. And there you see the juicy sniper offering from Jesus the Frog. Love it. Playing a practice seed earlier, and I got to use Imp Dragoon strats, and I was very happy. The seed was terrible, but I was happy to use, you know, an off-the-beaten-path strat.
I almost never get all the pieces together to do it.
Yeah, I looted Imp Armor. I saw that there was an Imp Halberd in the shop, and I just needed the boots and the horn. And I found those in other shops. You need a lot of moving parts to do it, unfortunately. Alright, so Drinks Glue is heading up to Final Kefka here. We do have Siren, which will negate magic on Tier 2. We have a couple of forms of instant death, which will take care of Long Arm on Tier 1 and Tools on Tier too. I think only one of our runners has Golem, if I'm not mistaken, right? That's Fred from Phoenix Cave. But we do have Phantom, which is potential calmness protection if we can time it right. So I think, Kalar, that's what our runners that are not named F. Coughlin will do for their calmness protection.
I think they also have Life 3. It takes a while to set up, but it can be useful.
Yeah, good point.
Long arm down. Let's get the head down.
Yeah, if we leave the head alive last, it counters with Quake, which is basically a bad time. The good thing about this flag set, where you'll probably get more levels than normal, is that this final Kefka fight is usually a little bit easier, actually, than in standard racing flags, where you won't have as many levels when you're here at Kefka.
Yeah, and I believe just like normal racing flags, the Kefka is not scaled.
That's correct. All right, so we have, about a 90-second difference, I think, between Drinks Glue and Jesus the Frog. So this is basically a execution race at this point, and who can get better luck with some of their instant death spells and counterattacks that happen throughout the fight. We have Locke jumping with a sniper for Glue. We have Jesus the Frog using the sniper with the Offering. I think Terra is swinging the Illumina. Edgar is swinging the Illumina for the other side. And then we have Go-Go on each being our utility user. So pretty similar party composition here for both of them. Glue taking the early advantage, heading up to Tier 2 now. But Jesus is not going to be far behind here.
I was curious to see if Glue would remember that Multi-Summon was on and use Odin for the instant kill on tools.
Yeah, he's got Doom and X-Zone.
Oh yeah, he's got lots of instant death options.
Yeah, Doom is way faster of a spell than Odin is, even though Odin is more accurate, right?
Yeah.
So now it just is, again, this is an execution race. We're probably a lot closer, actually, than 90 seconds apart. We're probably only a minute apart now that Jesus is up to Tier 2 as well.
Did Glue not put Siren on one of his characters?
He may not have gotten it. I would have assumed that everybody did. Was Siren from Mount Colts? Because Drinks Glue did not go to Mount Colts.
Need to make better notes.
Yep. And unfortunately, Tiger told Terra to chill out. Thankfully, we do have fire magic. But this is sort of what I was talking about, it's now up to execution mostly, but also a little bit of RNG. Because now you have to waste a turn getting one of your characters back, whereas Jesus the Frog is just pummeling damage. And if Drinks Glue does not have Siren, or a way to mute magic, then that's going to cost even more time for him as well.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at. Is like, unfortunately, all his magic's casts are going to eat time.
Yeah, magic is the most annoying part of this final fight, in my opinion here. As now Locke is stopped, so he cannot do anything. And I don't know if we have Dispel learned. That's the only thing that can get rid of Stop. Or killing him and bringing him back.
I did see one character with Dispel earlier.
Unfortunately, not getting the juicy sniper procs this time out of Jesus the Frog here. But just by the very nature of having magic muted, I think he's going to make up some time here. All right, down goes Kefka at Norsh for F. Coughlin, and he is running up that hill, Kate Bush, to get back in this race here. Alright, so it looks like Locke has been cured of his stop. Out comes 10 hits from hit on Jesus the Frog. So what I usually do when I have life 3 as my calmness protection is I cast it now when magic is muted. And yeah, you might have to reapply it to one character that gets dispelled at the end of this turn. But at least you're not doing it while Sleep and Lady are attacking you on the next tier, right?
Yeah, and don't want to risk going into Medio phase on Sleep and sitting there knocking them down before calmness.
Alright, so it looks like Glue threw up his Phantom now to counter the 10 hits. And it looks like Magic is dead for Jesus the Frog. So Jesus the Frog is actually going to overtake Drinks Glue here and head on to tier number 3. Glue not far behind. We are seconds apart now. Oh, baby. I paid for the whole seat, but I only need the edge, Kalar. Here we go. Tier 3. Alright, so we got 2 parts of this tier. There's Lady with 9,999 HP. Absorbs all elements, but can heal and revive both parts in an opening W-Wind, crippling the team of Jesus the Frog. But also Drinks Glue is going to get hit with a full party W-Wind from being vanished on the previous tier. So both of our runners having to do a little bit of recovery here. Glue using Ultima here in order to try and get Lady down as fast as possible, and there it is. So 1 part down. The next part has 40,000 HP, and we'll start countering with things like Train and Medio that you mentioned earlier when under 10,000 HP, and we'll use up to 2 instances of an instant death special called Calmness. So we have to mitigate that by either Life 3 or something that will negate physical attacks like Vanish or Golem or Fenrir. So we'll see how the execution plays out here. Incoming Merton for Jesus the Frog, and wow, his party is not protected from the elements there. Just that one Minerva, I think, at the top of Fanatic's Tower. And here is the cast of Life 3, whereas Drinks Glue looks like he's still continuing to pump out the damage. I think he's going to use Phantom for his calmness protection here by the look of it. All right, so here comes Train. So now we know that Sleep has under 10,000 HP. So let's clear our user of Phantom. And now we have to use it and do enough damage to kill Sleep in this 1 turn. So that's a shield crack or your biggest attack. And it looks like he's going to go with a quick double attack here. So you mentioned this spell earlier, Kalar, and it looks like that's what Drinks Glue is going to put to use. Oh, he's jumping with Edgar. Okay. I thought we were going to see a sword swing. All right, Train coming out for Jesus the Frog as well. Unfortunately, Edgar dies from the Condemned in midair, but is still allowed to fall on Sleep there.
Just not enough.
I don't know what happens here. This is one of the weirdest things I've ever seen.
I mean, we got multi-summon. He has a chance to put Phantom back up, but he's got to get that Train cleared.
Yeah, so I don't know how this works, because the ATB is supposed to be frozen for everybody until Edgar takes another turn. And unfortunately, Gogo goes down from Calmness for Jesus the Frog, but is allowed to get back up from Life 3. There's another Medio. Both Terra and Locke are down for Drinks Glue. And he's going to have to bring them back up before heading on to the final part of this fight. So it looks like Sleep's ATB is not actually frozen, right? Because otherwise that Media wouldn't have come out. So now Glue has to be very careful about what he does here. One thing you can do if you're ever in this situation, because Media will happen every single turn. The one thing you can do is you could heal the boss to be over that 10,000 HP threshold to get him out of this Medio phase. Or you could just say, you know what? I don't need these other 2 characters. I'm just going to go. And it looks like Drinks Glue is going to use his quick cast in order to bring one of them back up. Jesus the Frog reapplying Life 3 here and is going to go ahead and attack Final Kefka. 60,000 HP on Final Kefka or so. And we'll start countering with Hyperdrive and Havoc Wing if he's under 30,000 HP. Cast Fallen 1 on his first turn there. So do we have a Mega Elixir? Let's see.
I haven't seen one, and nobody found Magimaster, so.
Alright, so Glue getting the setup again. Here comes Phantom in order to avoid any physical attacks. We just have to wait for Locke to come down from the jump, and this should be enough damage to kill Sleep
and hope
here.
Calmness doesn't hit Locke.
There it is. Went after Go-Go. Go-Go seems to be the target of evaluation here for all of our runners. All right, Jesus the Frog using Realm's Morph ability. Morph will actually double your damage output and halves incoming magical damage. Hyperdrive coming out from Kefka means that he's under 30,000 HP now. And we got to be careful here because those HP totals are not very high, KLR, for this Goner that is going to come out right here.
If he doesn't push him and he eats that Goner right now, it can be rough.
I know a couple of his characters do have Life 3, so they will come back. But what you really want to do during this charge up for Goner is attack, because Kefka cannot counterattack. And here comes a Pearl Rod Crack plus a Mimic. Is this going to be enough to send Kefka to his doom? We'll find out here. And there it is, the flash, the crack, the pow. That is the end for Jesus the Frog. Get your GGs in chat. Tell him we said so in his chat there, as he is going to be our first place winner in this race. 1:40.58 is his official time, as Drinks Glue is taking on Tier 4 here.
He was in the tower first in go mode, but I would say it was a come from behind with the minute 30 that Glue had going into the actual final fight.
Yeah, that's for sure. Glue definitely stepped on the switches first. I don't know if there was that much time. I wasn't keeping exact track, but it felt like, about 90 or so seconds. But part of this is just bad RNG that can happen here when fighting these fights. So.
And Fred is now into Kefka. Tier 1.
Alright, so here comes the charge up for Goner. We are going to throw as much stuff as we can at the problem. Terra is going to die, unfortunately. Go-Go might,
probably is too.
Go-Go might survive, but here is where it's going to become worrisome. Locke and Edgar are up in the air, and when they come down, if they don't kill Kefka, he has a chance to counter with Ultima if he's low enough health. But it doesn't matter. Locke will finish it off for Drinks Glue. 1:42.29 is his official time, and we are joined by Jesus the Frog in the booth. What's up, Jesus the Frog? Congratulations on your first place win here.
Thank you.
So, tell us a little bit about your strategy for this flag set. Starting out with a lot of money, chests are very appealing, but there are monsters that are lurking inside, and you get to have both Locke and Edgar in your party. So what was sort of your idea of how to open up this seed?
The plan going in was to find breakables and then take early bosses and dragons. The fact that I had Go-Go just meant that was even more viable. The scaling is pretty rough off the bat in these flags, so I knew I wanted to take some grind fights before I took any real fights. But just find rods. There were ice rods and pro rods, get some earrings, and then break them the Mimic.
Yeah, we saw that strategy coming into play huge, especially in Fnatic's Tower with Rexall. You obliterated that boss way faster than your other runners did. But I think it came down to who was the first person that got the 7th character in Ebbets Rock, so I think you went there. to get your character, and then really nice execution on Final Kefka. Drinkschool actually was ahead of you heading into the final fight, but you did a lot of the little things right there in Final Kefka to take the lead. So tell us a little bit about sort of like the middle and end game that you had going on there.
Yeah, I was pretty slow in the middle. I didn't really have any good offense other than Fire 3. The slot is great early, but it drops off mid-game. And Drill on Block was not really cutting either. So it was Fire 3, and that's about it until I found that Illumina really, really late. Wish I had that earlier. I knew once I had the Illumina and that free offering for Lock, I would have some offense for 2 lanes. I had to hope that Realm and Go-Go could finish one up. Then I remembered that Realm could probably run the Illumina, which really saved my, made me more confident. Turns out I had a pretty easy middle path.
Yep.
But I was really worried about that fight until I remembered the Illumina. But yeah, the main thing in Final Kefka was just make sure I'm swinging with Edgar every time his ATB's up. He's never waiting on someone else's animation.
Yeah, that was Guardian and Tunnel Armor sort of switched places this seed. So thankfully, the boss at the save point wasn't all that difficult for you. We are also joined by Drinks Glue, who was our second place finisher. So GG Glue to you as well.
Thank you.
So we just talked to Jesus a little bit about his strategy with this flag set, starting out with a boatload of cash chests. They catch your hand in the cookie jar, if you will, with those monster in a boxes, and you start with Edgar and Locke. So tell us a little bit about your opening strategy for this flag set here.
I think going forward, my strategy will be pay attention to the flags and maybe have the little infographic you created up side by side, because I didn't realize it didn't really bite me in the behind too much, but I didn't realize multi-summon was on until an hour and 10 minutes. But it didn't really matter because I didn't have anything worthwhile summoning. But I spent most of my time wondering, like, what am I doing what am I missing? Because I didn't even realize that we started with 50,000 GP. So I remember I bought some things in Arsh and I was like, oh, where did all that money come from? So I think some flag awareness would be great to have.
Yeah, next time just raid the mattress in between your sheets, for all that cash. So you employed an interesting strategy that I'd like to get your opinion of. As soon as you got to 6 characters, you went into Kefka's Tower to sort of clear out the middle lane there. And in this seed, I know, Jesus, you didn't get your skip until you were already, way into KT. So Glue, what is sort of your strategy about heading into Kefka's Tower early to clear out basically that middle lane? It's a little bit extra walking, but do you feel like it helps out your the pace of your seeds overall?
I think for the first opening round, the first 8 weeks of the Kef Grand Prix, that's a good idea, because there's only really like one spot, because dragons don't count as bosses. So if you get those awkward spot where you're at 10 bosses and instead of 11 or 9, you really don't have a choice of like, where do I go for 2, unless you, depending on your character's checks. So I thought, as soon as I get the 6 characters, as long as I'm like, not like 1 or 2 pieces away from requirements, that's what I was going to do. And the reason for that is, 1, you fight those 3 bosses, you're clearing 2 of the bosses that you have to fight anyways. But most importantly, you don't push up any of your scaling when you do that. So you get 3 bosses worth of experience. So that way you either matches you up to scaling or pushes you either ahead. I think I got 4 levels from that. So it didn't push me way ahead, but it pushed me. I had enough, so the rest of the fights were of no issue for me. The downside of doing that is that if you end up doing like 14 or 15 bosses and you didn't have to do it anyways, and then the bosses are pushovers, you kind of got your skip anyways, and then you did a bunch of stuff you didn't have to do. So there's some downside and risk to it. But with any risk comes some reward. So I think in the opening round group stage, when it's less of having to finish first, but more just having to finish with a good time, so you get enough points to move on to the round of 16, I think that's the move for myself.
Yeah, I think Jesus the Frog, you were at 10 bosses when you went into, I think it was 10 when you went into KT. So you were in that same situation that Glue talked about. Did you think about doing any of the KT shenanigans, or did you feel from a time perspective, oh, I gotta go because I'm feeling like I should be further along than I am now?
Well, I definitely felt like I should have been further along because I'm used to ultra speed timing. So I'm at an hour and 15 minutes. I haven't entered KT. I'm feeling really bad. But it is 710. It's higher scaling, so it's not too bad. But I did consider briefly trying to find 2 bosses somewhere. My options were Kefka and Narsh, Burning House, or go take 2 bosses at the center path of KT. But by the time I go into KT, go full center, kill 2 bosses, and then warp out and reform the statues, I could also just walk to KT and kill 2 bosses and I'd be in the same place. So I really didn't feel like it was worthwhile.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. So, Kalar, you have any questions for Jesus the Frog here? Well, we got him.
Jesus, why the auction house? I thought you said you would never do that.
I normally don't. It's only because I talked about it earlier today I even thought about it. But because
we were talking about it, yeah, as
my options were Burning House, Kefka, and Narsh, and hope one is an Esper, or go all the way to Umaru. But like, those are all going to be 2 minutes at least to get a check, which might be dead or might be a character. And I have to do more. Whereas I saw this Esper at Auction House, I'm like, all right, just gotta get the Esper. And second try is the fastest I've ever had the Esper appear, so it paid off this time.
Oh, I understand entirely. I almost always get the 50,000 like 4 or 5 times in a row, so I understood, and the logic also makes sense considering where you were at in the seed.
That's why I made sure I had 70,000 because I knew I needed to buy the 50 when it came up.
Yeah, so between you and a Drinks Glue, you also went to the auction house, but you got the Esper the first try instead of the second. So the percentages definitely reflected the actions of this seed, and sometimes it's not how it happens. So, Jesus, you got any other final comments or thoughts on either the seed or the event in general before we let you go?
Yeah, the event seems really, really cool. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to trying out other flag sets. I've only done Phantom Forest, and now this is my first Figure of Desert one. But on this flag set specifically, I found this 5% monster box, but I think I ran into 3 boxes that had a monster zone in the entire seed. So it didn't really play into it at all. There's 1 in Collapsing House, 1 in Phantom Train, and 1 in Kefka's Tower. So it really had no impact on the seed.
Yeah, I think there were a couple that you might have dodged in there, because I think at some point you stopped looting. I think we saw more than that. I think it was like in the 5 to 7 range between all of the runners in here. But interesting, because yeah, if you're looting like 60 to 70 chests as you did, that means you're probably going to get, 3 or 4 or 2 monster in the boxes, right? So, but
yeah, it's strange because I remember in the Go-Go flag set that had monster boxes from Battlegrounds, that 5% felt like it hit a lot more often.
And that is our last runner done. F. Coughlin, 152.12. GG's to him. Last locationing the goddess spot. That was a little rough, being that was the only way through the seed was getting your character at goddess there. So he bounced off it the first time and didn't go back until the very, very end. So, but yeah, so thank you, Jesus the Frog, for volunteering to be on Restream. Can't have the races without the runners, and hope to see you again soon.
Of course.
All right, so Kayla, you got any questions for Drinks Glue while we've got him here?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head right now.
So, in the most PG-13 way you can, Glue, what were you thinking during Tier 3 of Final Kefka there?
I turned it into a little science experiment. Edgar jumped with 5 on the timer, and I knew the timer ticks while I was in the air, right? So I was kind of curious, because he may not kill. He needs to do 3 jumps. He needs to land 3 times to kill Tier 3. So there's a decent chance he doesn't do this. And I was kind of curious what happens if he died in the midair. So he died midair. He came down and jumped, and his body just laid there.
Yep.
And I wasn't sure if the ATV was going or not. And then I realized all my characters were going to die if Meteor came out. So then I kind of got it together and started, cut off
Yeah.
the science fair a little bit early and got back on the saddle.
Yeah, that was what I was gonna say. The interesting thing about that is you used quick and did jump, and when you came down, you were dead, and you didn't get to
Yeah.
take your second turn, right? So I was
Mhm.
trying to figure out what the heck was gonna happen, but then I saw Medio come out and went, we're danger, danger."
Yeah, I knew if you jump with the condemn going on and then you die and you come down in your jump, I just wasn't sure what happened when you had quick involved. And I knew, like, obviously when you jump with quick, you have to have the APDB going, or else the jump will never land, right?
Right.
But I also, knew that I was just kind of hoping that he would be able to get 2 off. But then when he only got the 1, I was like, what's going on here? Did I just glitch the game? And then I was like, oh no, God is. I mean, tier 3 is going to attack here soon. Let's get this going again. But you learn something new every day.
Yeah, for sure. That's basically Worlds Collide in a nutshell. I learn something new every time I watch this game.
You mentioned tier 3. I figure what was the PG-13 for tier 2 dealing with magic?
Oh, I was so powerful. Even if you don't realize it, jump with that man eater is doing 9,000. A little short of 9,000. The sniper is doing 7,000 ish. Plus it can proc. That's more than enough in itself. You just have to take it for. You just have to be cognizant that it's not targetable offense. That's why the Lumina. That's why Terra came in for saving, because targetable offense, is going to help on some of those tiers. But that jump is so underrated, but also kind of annoying sometimes.
Oh yeah, no, it was just having to deal with magic constantly throwing spells.
Oh yeah, whatever.
Yeah, because we
That
did
guy can
find.
take a hike.
I think Jesus found Siren somewhere. I don't remember exactly where. I want to say maybe it was Mount Cults, because I don't think Glue you did Mount Cults, but
I think it was Kiltia.
yeah. So, the last part of the seed was really interesting to watch. Nice come from behind, between the shenanigans on tier 2 and the science experiment on tier 3. That's how it happens sometimes. Glue, do you have any other final thoughts on this flag set or the event in general, or anything you want to plug at the end of the stream here?
I just had a question for you guys. If I was interested myself in playing some of these exciting Figaro desert flags, how could I do so in the future with friends?
Yeah, so if you head on over to our Discord, FF6 Worlds Collide /Discord, or the link is in the channel chat right now, you can go ahead and join our Discord, and you can use Seedbot to roll up some of these seeds, or you can go on the website FF6 Worlds Collide, and on the front page, there's actually a pull down for presets, and all 4 of the tracks are presets in the flags here. So that is how you can play any of these different flags that you'd like. So really good question. What are your thoughts on the event or this flag so far?
I like that the spells abilities mimic in Chocobo Racing, because in Chocobo Racing that's basically what Fire and Fire 3 or Bolt and Bolt 3 do, is they just kind of hit somebody in front, like the equivalent of the green shells and the red shells and the 3 red shells from Mario Kart, if you will, and how all the spells kind of mimic that. So it's a very interesting idea, very creative idea. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think the more interesting part than the flag sets, although the flag sets do have some cool ideas that I do like, I'm interested to see how much chaos these spells will cause after, the first week will be fine, but then, week 3 or 4, there's going to be stuff flying all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Be just like watching a Mario Kart race, seeing who
Yeah.
gets that red spell that hunts down everybody.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Drinks Glue, for hopping in. You originally volunteered to be part of the broadcast crew, but then said, you know what, I'm going to race instead. And so I appreciate you volunteering to be whatever role that we need you for to make this event happen. So really appreciate that. And we'll hope to see you soon.
All right. Good night, guys.
All right, have a good one.
Take
And
care.
Kaylar, you got anything else we want to chat about before we get the heck out of here?
Nope, just kind of mirroring what we said earlier. If you like what you saw, go to the Discord. It's a friendly group of people. Join. Everybody's more than willing to teach. It's a good time.
Awesome. Well, I'm really excited to see more KGPDX races in the future, and I'll be even more interesting to see, as I mentioned, what happens with the shenanigans, with the spells, and the different brackets and the pools as they come out. So thank you so much, viewers at home, for watching, and we will be back hopefully next week on one of the Speed Gaming family of networks around the same amount of time, 8 p.m. Eastern time, and we'll catch you then. See you later. Peace out.